we present My Music, a musical panel game devised by Edward J. Mason and Tony Schreier. And here to introduce the teams is Steve Race.
Greetings and welcome to a further edition of My Music with its usual contestants, Ian Wallace and Denis Norden versus John Amis and Frank Muir. Right, all the musical items in this first round are about life. Gentlemen, life. Ian, what sort of a life is this? Whose life, Ian?
It's not a dog's life, obviously.
No.
I think this is going to be one of those which we divide down the middle insofar that you tell me part of it and I'll try and tell you the other part.
Well, put life into German first, if you can.
Leben.
Leben, so it's ein somebody Leben, isn't it? It's somebody's Leben.
By which you have told me this is a German composer.
Yes. Aha.
Strauss.
Yes. Which Strauss?
Not Johann.
No.
Richard.
No, that's
Richard
right.
Strauss.
Yes, one of my heroes.
Oh.
Oh,
yes. Is it Helden?
Label. No, Hero's Life. You've got it, Ian. You've got it without any help at all. Very good.
With a good deal of assistance.
Got us off to a flying start. Right, 1 mark to you.
I'd say we just about got off the ground.
1 out of 1. Ein Heldenleben, The Hero's Life, Richard Strauss. Denis Norden, your turn. According to Shakespeare, whose life is this?
Where is the life that late I led? Where is it now? Totally dead. Where is the fun I used to find? Where is it gone? Gone with the wine. My married life I hate to wreck, but raising an heir could never compare with raising a bit of heck. So I repeat what first I said. Where is the life that late I?
Dennis.
It wasn't Alfred Drake, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Much lighter voice.
Lou Monte singing, actually.
Well,
Whose life?
That's from Kiss Me Kate.
Yes.
Taming of the Shrew,
Yes.
or Petruchio.
Aha. Petruchio was what I wanted. Yes.
Or Fred Graham, I think the character was called in Kiss Me Kate.
Yes, well, I did say according to Shakespeare, so Petruchio is, of course, right for 1 mark. Good. John Amis, it's your turn. Whose life is this? Right, John.
Short life.
Is that all?
That's all. Well, no, would you like a little bit, a rather more melodious bit out of the middle?
Yes.
You shall have it. Here it is. Is that a help?
Not much.
No. I'll give you a name. Ivan Susanin. That did help here.
Yes, I think it's that old stinker Glinka.
Yes. Whose life then?
The Tsar.
Well, a life for the Tsar, yes.
Right.
The piece called A Life for the Tsar. That's from the overture by, as you said, that old stinker Glinka. Yes, Ivan Susanin, who gave his life for the Tsar in the 17th century. Right, mark to you. Frank, again, whose life? fact that we're all swaying about is a good sign, isn't it? Yes, Frank.
I'm informed by my colleague that there's a Strauss waltz called the Artist's Life.
Yes. Could you put him into German too, somebody's Leben?
Die Artistenleben, the Gefunken...
Yes, that's right. Anyway, Artist's Life, Johann Strauss II, and Frank gets his mark. Everybody's got their marks so far. Good. On to the next round. Ian, I'm in search of somebody's name here. He was principal tenor at 16 Covent Garden International seasons, quite a record, and he sang in 29 successive Promenade concert seasons. Any idea who he was?
I thought for one moment you were going to say he was a principal tenor at Covent Garden at 16.
No. 16 Covent Garden seasons, 29 successive prom seasons.
I imagine that he therefore must have been British.
Ah, yes, you choose your words carefully. Born in Monmouthshire as he was in 1891, he would naturally not be English.
No, that would make him Welsh.
While you're thinking, I can mention that he also took part in the first performance of Schoenberg's Gurrelieder.
I have a feeling this must be Parry Jones.
Parry Jones it is, and there's your mark. Yes, Parry Jones, with that wonderful musical record there. Dennis Norden, in a description of a Broadway show, I read that even the Faustian overtones of the story were treated in a breezy manner, with Ray Walston playing the devil and Gwen Verdon in her first starring role as his most efficient temptress. What was the show called?
It was called Damn Yankees. It was written by the same people who wrote Pajama Game, Jerry Adler and
Ross.
And Ross.
Adler and Ross. Yes, 1955. That's right. Damn Yankees. And from Damn Yankees came Whatever Lola Wants. And you gotta have heart. That's right. Yeah, mark to you. John, Queen Victoria, Prince Albert, the Duke of Wellington, and Louis Napoleon all attended the first performance, which was conducted by Verdi, with Jenny Lind in the leading role. Can you name the opera?
Was it a first performance in this, first performance of the work?
Yes.
Then Verdi's only opera to be done here for the first time was written for London, was I Masnadieri.
Masnadieri, the Robbers, yes. That was at Her Majesty's Theatre in 1860. Good for you. Right. Frank Muir. The scene is laid in an industrial advertising exhibition in a large capitalist city. The characters include the exhibition director, sundry fascists and spies, a Negro boxer, 2 women communists, and a Soviet football team. What work is that?
Sounds like the prospect pleases and only Kurt is vile. Is it Kurt? Is it
No, it's not Kurt Weill, no. No. No.
Well, that's diminish my locker of shots.
Don't forget a Soviet football team takes part. And
the Dynamos?
Well, I don't
Do you
know.
know an opera with Dynamos?
Is it an opera or a musical comedy?
It's neither. It's a ballet. I'm going to have
Hamlet.
to tell you this, I think.
Yes, I rather think it will have to.
It's by Shostakovich.
No, really?
It's the Age of Gold. The ballet Age of Gold, from which comes the Age of Gold polka. Well, I can't give you a mark for that, which means that at the present stage of the game, Ian Wallace and Denis Norden are leading by 1 mark. Instruments of the orchestra. Ian, which instrument, please, is this? I think he was glad that was over. Ian, which instrument?
Drawing a bow at a venture, I would say the clarinet.
You'd be right, for half a mark. And because that was so easy for your other half mark, who was the player?
Well, I'm only on what might be described as terms of intimacy with one clarinet player, Jack Brymer.
I wouldn't have asked you if it had been anyone else, would I? The other half mark, total 1. It was indeed Jack Brymer playing, yes. Dennis, your turn. Again, instruments of the orchestra. What is this?
Is that Spike Jones's orchestra?
No.
It sounds like he's playing it with one nostril. Whatever. You want which nostril for your second mark?
It's a very, very distinguished performer named Terence McDonough demonstrating something or other to do with his instrument, actually. Ian, I think, may help you over that.
Oh, Ian says oboe.
Yes, that's right.
Well, is that
Well, a mark to you. It's Terence McDonough demonstrating the oboe reeds being blown without the instrument attached.
It's easier to carry around that way, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Going through customs.
The other thing that they can do with that, they can give a very realistic imitation of a pheasant.
Anyway, a mark to Dennis.
Useless information, that is, if ever there was any.
Mark to Dennis for that. John Amos, turning to the strings. Which two words, John, did the composer write immediately above this passage? Two words.
Quasi guitarra.
No, that would be an ingenious, like the guitar. No, it's a specific violin-type instruction.
Collegno.
Collegno is right. To be played with the back of the bow. You turn the horsehair away from the violin and play with the wooden back of the bow, and it commits murder on the bow.
What a silly idea.
Very
on point. Well, why not turn the violin over and play the...
You think that's funny, don't you?
Yes.
But it's been done. Yes.
Signor Bruschino, isn't it?
No. I mean, in avant-garde works. I mean, all the things that people are trying not to do when they're children or...
But when I say Signor Bruschino, what do I mean, John?
Oh, they just tap col legno.
Yes.
Legno literally with the wood.
Yes, they tap the wood, though, with the wood, don't they? In Signor Bruschino, in the overture by Rossini, you'll know this, Ian. You've performed in Signor Bruschino.
No, I haven't, but you're quite right.
He'd be making up during the overture anyway.
But John was quite right, because as Dennis knows, that everything funny has been done.
Yes. I mean, we started those Hoffnung concerts poking fun at modern music, and now it's all been done. Not funny anymore. Surely,
Frank, you know as well as Dennis, don't you, that everything funny has been done, or is it only Dennis that knows? Frank, your turn. What instrument, please, is this?
It's a deep one.
Undeniably true.
And it uses air, and not the titillation of strings. I would have thought it's one of those things which is like an anti-tank bazooka stood on end.
You're nearly there, yes. Yes, you're right, absolutely. Whatever it is, it's a double one, isn't it, obviously?
Yes, it's mentioned in a song lyric, isn't it? Let it bassoon.
Oh, that's nice. Yes. Or if you sing the song twice, let it double bassoon. Yes, that's right.
Whatever it is double or treble.
Well, double or contra bassoon, yes. Half a mark to you. Kenneth Cooper was playing it. John, I wonder if you can possibly guess, for the other half mark, what this is the double bassoon part for. Listen. Brilliant if you can. No.
I think it's the Frogs by Aristophanes.
I'm sorry to tell you it isn't. I think I'll have to play you the full orchestral piece, including that. Here it is. Very difficult. We'll give you the half mark if you can identify it now. I'll give you a clue.
yes.
All right? There's a clue.
It's Brahms' First Symphony.
Yes, it is from Brahms' First Symphony. There, we'll give you the half mark, I think, there. And on to the next round.
The only thing I know about Brahms' First Symphony is that Tchaikovsky went to hear it and noted in his journal talentless bastard.
Yes. Actual words.
Yeah.
Dear. We turn now to one of the great 20th century operas. Ian, back to you. Who is this, in short? Who's the singer?
Super.
Lovely singing of a lovely piece of music, yes.
And it's quite, the voice is quite unmistakable. Very early on, there's just something that is a hallmark of a lady called Joan Sutherland.
Yes, Joan Sutherland, that's right, as Turandot. I like to pronounce the final T, and the pronunciation department of the BBC permit me to, so Turandot in Puccini's opera. Mark to you for Joan Sutherland. Dennis, in Act 3 of Turandot, the hero, played here by Luciano Pavarotti, sings the famous Nessun Dorma. Listen, and then, if you will, tell me why the man should be calling out, "None shall sleep, let no man sleep." Let no man sleep. Why, Dennis, does he want to say that?
Well, what I believe is called solipsism. In other words, why I would have said it in any circumstances, none shall sleep, let no man sleep, is if you yourself are unable to sleep. Have you ever done, you've woken up in the middle of the night, and you can't get off, and all you want to do is stand outside on the pavement and say to the whole world, "Wake up! Everybody wake up, because I'm awake." So that would be my explanation of the phrase, "None shall sleep, let no man sleep."
Yeah, well, that's exactly what happens in the opera.
I thought so.
Or nearly. I think a mark to you. The heroine, in fact, has commanded that no one shall sleep until the name of the unknown prince has been discovered. But as always, I prefer your answer to that in the opera. John Amis, another earlier great soloist recorded in Questa Regia, which we heard just now. It's a performance that always makes my spine tingle, this one. Who was it, John?
I think it's Eva Turner.
Yes, Dame Eva Turner. Recording date 1928.
I remember that when she sang that after the war at a concert at the Albert Hall, I happened to have lunch with some of the boys in the band in the LPO and the horn players, and they said, "Look, we're all playing that tune with Eva. Let's drown her this afternoon, shall we?" And so there they were. I think it's 6 horns, and they all blew as hard as they could. You couldn't hear them.
Not with Eva.
And
no.
Eva had a marvelous thing. She sometimes used to sing that aria. She sang one bit, a little bit out of the left side of her mouth, then a little bit out of the right side of the mouth, and then vomph.
Yes. Frank, this is how Turandot ends. Frank,
What's your problem?
Well, my problem is this, Frank. Just before then, Toscanini, when conducting Turandot, stopped, turned round, and addressed the audience. What did he say?
If you don't want to stop a coughing, I jack it in. I have left the last page. I left the last page of the score on the bus. My friend and colleague, John, has been brimming with information about this.
Yes.
But apparently, it wasn't finished.
No, I thought he guessed what this question was going to be, and he did.
It was finished by a gentleman called Alfino.
What were the actual words, John? The words...
Can I hand over to you?
At this point, the master laid down his pen.
Yes. Marvellous thing to say. Then he turned back and they finished the opera. Yes. Great moment. Mark to Frank, of course, needless to say.
Well deserved.
According to our very own tradition in this show, the last round features our contestants in slightly different capacity and a different order. They sing. Dennis first, then, thank goodness, John, thirdly, Frank, and finally we leave you with a drop of the real stuff from Ian. So, Dennis, it's
Dennis
you.
first, is that like sort of eat your carrots first?
Later you get your chocolate, yes.
This round is known as Let's All Be Nasty to Dennis.
But I have to tell you all something. All the songs this week in this final round have something to do with water. So, Dennis, can you dredge up from your memory a couple of marks' worth of Upper Lazy River? I'll give you a couple of chords to start with. For what it's worth. I don't think it's worth much.
No, I don't think
so. That's one.
Up. He was down. Yeah. Up a lazy river by the old mill run. Up a lazy river in the noonday sun. Lingering in the shade of a kind old tree. Steve, does this make your spine tingle?
It's more like a sort of crawl or a creep, really, you know. Yes.
Or your stomach tingle.
Yes, that's right, yes. Upper Lazy River by the... You remembered the words, Dennis, didn't you?
Yes.
2 marks to you out of 2. John, we're still concerned with water songs, remember? How about a reminder from you of the flung spray and the blown spume? I think your key would be A minor. Can you manage it? Here we go.
Yeah. I must go down to the seas again, to the lonely sea and the sky, and all I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer her by, and the wheels kick and the wind song and the white sail shaking, and a grey mist on the sea's face, and a great dawn breaking.
Frank.
I must go down to the BBC again.
Frank, still to do with water, remember, though this
Water
time... No, sir. No, sir, this is Water Carried in a Bucket by George Formby.
The blushing bride, she looked divine. The bridegroom, he was doing fine. I'd rather have his job than mine when I'm cleaning windows.
Just short and bitter, yeah. 2 marks to you, of course, and that leaves Ian. A couple of marks for you, McWallace. If you can recall the Skyboat song. Your key, I think, G.
Speed, bonny bold, like a bird on the wing, on with the sailors cry. Carry the lad that's born to be king, over the sea to sky. Loud the winds howl, loud the waves roar, thunder
thunderclaps rend the air. Baffled our foes stand on the shore, follow they will not dare. Speed, bonny boat, like a bird on the wing, on with the sailors cry. Carry the lad that's born to be king over the sea to sky.
Thank you, Ian. Unrehearsed, which is why I played that duff chord in the middle. Never mind.
Never noticed it.
Thank you. There ends this edition of My Music, a victory by 1 mark for Ian Wallace and Denis Norden. Goodbye.
Taking part in My Music were John Amos, Frank Muir, Ian Wallace and Denis Norden. The chairman was Steve Race. The questions were compiled by Steve Race and the programme was produced by Tony Schreier. We present My Music, a musical panel game devised by Edward J. Mason and Tony Schreier. And here to introduce the teams is Steve Race.
Thank you. How nice to be able to welcome you to another edition of My Music, the panel game in which Ian Wallace and Denis Norden compete in musical knowledge and effrontery against John Amos and Frank Muir. We begin this week with a tribute to the female voice. 4 tributes, 4 female voices. The first of them for Ian Wallace to identify. Who's that waltzing in the clouds, Ian?
It's a very familiar voice.
Aye.
Aye. Mm-hmm. I think this is a fellow countrywoman of mine.
Yes.
I think it's Moira.
That's Moira. Moira who?
I think it's Moira Anderson.
Yes, it is indeed. Moira Anderson. 1 mark to Ian. Denis, whose voice is this?
I must try to make the man love me. Make the man love me now. By and by, I'll make the man happy, 'cause I know how.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a great song.
Voice from the It is a great song, yes.
Yeah.
Voice from the past, rather, regrettably.
I can't think of the name, but she did some records with Brooke Benton.
Yes.
And I cannot remember her name. I mix her up with Della Reese, but it isn't Della Reese. Now, I can't remember what her name is.
No, well, think of, what shall we say? You've been to the capital of America recently?
Oh, yes, that's very nice. It's Dinah Washington.
Yes, Dinah Washington. Yes. Not as some listeners may have thought, Shirley Bassey. Similar sort of dynamic style. Dinah Washington, and this mark to you, I think, fair enough. And half a mark. I had to help you, didn't I? Half a mark, not 1. And the song, do you know who wrote the song? Just for
the song came from A Tree Grows in Brooklyn.
Yes.
And it was Arthur Schwartz.
Arthur Schwartz,
your
the
friend
music, and
Arthur
Dorothy
Schwartz.
Fields wrote the lyric, yes. Make the Man Love Me, fine song. John Amos, who's this?
Come to me, my melancholy babe.
favourite performance of the song. What was it?
I'll ask you a leading question. Do you expect me to know who that is?
Yes,
I see.
Yes, I
That
do.
means
Yes, how
it's
clever of you to force
somebody-
that out of me.
You mean it's somebody from
Well,
my part of the world?
Yes, I'm going to tell you, this is the sort of thing you're more accustomed to hearing from her.
Ha ha ha.
Are you any further along the line?
It's not a priceless voice, is it?
Ah, no, that's right. No. So,
Leontine.
Leontine Price, yes, singing on that first Melancholy Baby with Andre Previn's jazz group. There, of course, from Gianni Schicchi. Yes, Leontine Price stepping out of character and out of one or two other things, I think, as well.
That's why I asked you the question. I mean, it wasn't just an insulting question,
No,
which
no.
they mostly are.
You placed it very no, you placed it very cleverly, and marked you for doing so. Frank, your turn. Again, the female voice. Line, or would you like a suck of my tangerine? That's the line.
Is the ukulele banjo a clue?
Don't think so, no. Christmas Carol might be, but...
Have you got a record of her singing a Mass in B minor?
It's rather on delicate ground. It's not a woman, is it?
No, it's not a woman, no. I said the female voice, because I think one can say that, and for a voice so high in register.
It's Tiny Tim.
It's Tiny Tim, yes. Good for you. There's your mark. And that's why I said Christmas Carol might be a clue. The next round.
I hadn't thought of that. That was very clever.
Yes. The question in this next round is who or what is missing from the list I give you? Let me give you an example. If I said ping and pang, you, John, would add...
Pong.
Thank you. From Turandot, yes. But we start with a very different kind of music and a deliberate omission for you, Ian Wallace. Kyrie, Gloria, Sanctus and Benedictus, Agnus Dei, what's missing?
It must be the Credo.
Yes, the Credo, which comes after the Gloria in the Latin version of the Mass. Denis Norden, your turn. There's a name missing from this list. Brian Chandler, Hilton Valentine, John Steele, Eric Burden and...
By golly, we've come a long way from the Credo. Yes. Eric Burden was in that Newcastle group,
yes,
wasn't he?
You're on the track, yes.
And the other bloke who came from it, what's his name? My name is Little
That's
Alan
yes,
Price.
Yeah. Right. Yes, Alan Price. That's
Jarrow
right.
led,
The original Tyneside group, the Animals. Yes. 2 marks to you. John Amos, again, who's missing? Auric, Dury, Onega, Neo, Poulenc, and...
Taillefer.
He's the one everybody forgets, but you don't, do you? No, that's right. Because they are John Les Six, the 6 composers, yes, who formed a group, exactly. Frank Muir, Benny Goodman, Teddy Wilson, Lionel Hampton, and...
Benny Goodman Quartet.
Yes, that's right.
Benny Goodman Clarinet. Lionel Hampton vibes.
Yes. Teddy Wilson.
Teddy Wilson's piano.
Oh, yes.
So therefore we're lacking drums.
Yes.
Which would be Gene Krupa.
Well worked out. 2 marks to you, yes. If you'd care to join in the next round, all of you listening, it's the moment to have your pen and paper handy, because it's time for the piano medley. It's the point where I turn to the piano keyboard and play what used to be called a switch. Remember that, Dennis?
Yes.
A switch, a quick medley of 6 tunes. Half a mark for each tune that the team in question can name. So, Ian and Dennis, your medley first. Here it is. Right. Pens away from paper. How did you get on? Dennis, you would perhaps have got the first one?
Exodus.
Yes, half a mark for that. Then came...
Marquita.
Yes,
Marquita.
that's right. Oh, you're doing famously.
Around the World in 80 Days.
Well, yes, around the world. Yes, around the world, yes. Then came one that, Ian, you might have been able to name.
I might have been, but I wasn't.
La Fée de Lila from The Sleeping Beauty. I would have accepted just Sleeping Beauty. Da-dee-da-da-da-da-dum-ba-dum. Two more.
I couldn't think of the next. Should know the next one. How did it go again, the next bit?
I'll play it.
There's a castle in my... Freddie Martin did direct... It's the minute...
Yes.
The minute waltz.
You're not supposed to know that. Ian is supposed to know it's... Ian is supposed to know it's the minute waltz. You're supposed to call it Weep No More, Don't Cry, My Love. Well, I suppose I give you that, don't I? Benefit of the doubt, yes. All right. I owe a little help to the other side. Half a mark for there. And the last one?
Live, Laugh and Love.
Live, Laugh and Love. Bum, 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 bum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2.5 marks out of 3. Good. Back to the piano and a medley for John Amos and Frank Muir. To admit there wasn't very much of the first one. Did you get it?
Dance of the Howers.
Yes, Dance of the Howers, that's right. Punchielli. And then came...
A little loving goes a long, long way.
Indeed, I would have accepted Stephanie Gavotte because you wouldn't have sung that. Yes. Same thing. Right, the next one?
The Chinese don't dare to.
Yes.
The
title being...
Mad Dogs and Englishmen.
Mad Dogs and Englishmen, yes, how true. And then came...
Love me.
No, it's not called Love Me Forever, is it?
Promise.
It's not called that.
No.
Oh, well, no, never.
No.
Must have the title. No. How do you do it, Frank? No, it's not. It's Someday I'll find you, I'm afraid. So you missed that. Similar, yes. Similar writers.
I have no note.
Thank you, madam. And then 2 more tunes. You didn't get the next one, I think.
Well, 5 I have no note
No,
of.
neither have I.
Well,
Absent.
Long time.
More. It's called from the film Mondo Cane. Come into the garden more, you know. And the
Beautiful dreamer.
Yes, that's right. Very fine chord you have there. 4 out of 6. And we move on. Not so long ago, I was at a cricket match at Lord's, and I happened to meet Ian Wallace. You remember this, Ian, don't you?
Yes, I do.
You'd just been in hospital for a minor operation, you told me, and I learned something from you that I hadn't known before, namely that while you're going under the anaesthetic, they now play you discreet music. Not perhaps in all hospitals, but certainly in the one you were in. So, Ian, earn your mark in this round by telling us what they actually played you as you went under in your hospital.
It was very alarming because there one was in the anaesthetic room, and they said everything's delayed a bit. You'll be here for about 10 minutes. Don't worry. So I said, so I'm not doing anything else. And so I lay there for a bit, and then they said the anaesthetist is coming in now because the surgeon's ready. And suddenly the music changed, and it became... And it was a very nice theatre sister who was holding my hand at the time, and I said to her, I don't think that's very tactful, what they're playing now. She said, what is it? I said, well, it's called The Dying Swan. It's difficult to know quite what would be suitable. I suppose you'd really rather have something reassuring like, we'll meet again.
That'll do very nicely, Ian. Thank you. I was going to give you even 1 mark just for telling us about the dying swan, but that's fine. A mark to you. And, of course, no prize for guessing how Denis, John and Frank are going to earn their marks in this round. So, Denis, you first. What type of music or piece of music, perhaps, would you rather not hear under similar circumstances while you're going under an anaesthetic?
I think I'd be a little dismayed if they played that song, It's Impossible. But I think I would definitely pass out. You remember the one that Joseph Locke used to sing? Goodbye, goodbye. You wish you all...
Last goodbye. John, what would you rather not hear if you were going under?
Well, my mind goes back... You know how on sheet music they print sometimes on the back or on a spare page 8 bars of something, and on the back of something, Reginald Forsyth or Art Tatum, there was a piece called "Fumbling Around." And I think that would scare me witless.
Well done. And Frank?
For a title, I think the most daunting would be Sinking, sinking, S-I-N-K-I-N.
Yes. And we move on. In songs, operas, musicals, and similar, there are sometimes rather surprising lines. Let's see if you can identify them. Ian, in the world of musical theatre, where all lovers seem to be beautiful, who sings to whom, "Oh, you very, very plain old man, I love you madly"?
That's very different from "Oh, you beautiful dog." Isn't this rather like, "Oh, what a very, very pure young man this pure young man must be," which comes from Patience.
Yes, you're in the right field.
So it's Gilbert. And this is somebody who was in love with somebody very ugly.
Mm-hmm. Under the influence of a love filter.
The Sorcerer.
You got there, yes. So, who sings it to the notary? Do you know her name?
No, I don't.
No. Constance to the notary in The Sorcerer, under the influence of this love filter we were talking about.
It's because they all have a great tea party and they all fall in love with one another.
Teacups and sorcerers, yes, I know. One mark to you. Well won, I think. You got there in the end. Denis, here's a line from a song for you to place. A lot of kisses on the bottom.
You'll be glad you've got them.
Yes. So the song is...
I'm going to sit right down and write myself a letter.
And for proof, here's Cleo Lane singing just that.
Gonna sit right down and write myself a letter and make believe it came from you. Gonna write words so sweet, they're gonna knock me off my feet. A lot of kisses on the bottom. I'll be glad I got them.
You are? Yes.
It's in the same area as It's All Over My Friend.
Yes. Yes. I didn't know about that. 1 mark to you. It's 1 mark round. John, there's an operatic love scene that begins rather improbably, I think, with the words, "Up in the sky, someone is playing a trombone and a guitar." Can you place it? It's actually a charming song. Up in the sky, someone is playing a trombone and a guitar.
English?
No.
I think you must give me clues, please.
I'm going to play it to you.
That's better.
Up in the sky, someone is playing a trombone and a guitar. Red is your tie, and in your velveteen coat you hide a star. Monica, Monica, dance the waltz.
Monica, there's a clue for you.
Yes, it's by Giancarlo Menotti.
That's right, yes.
It's The Medium, isn't it?
The Medium, that's right.
Not long ago, I used to write for the Scotsman newspaper, excuse me, Ian, and one day they rang me not long ago and said, "Mr. Eames, could you confirm or deny that Mr. Menotti has bought himself a sheep farm in Scotland?" So I said, absolute rubbish. I met Menotti the following week, and I said, I heard this ridiculous thing about you. He said, yes, it's true. And I said, well, how are you getting on in Scotland? He said, well, it's very nice. He said, I'm enjoying it very much. He said, the only trouble is that the villagers can't quite pronounce the name Menotti, so they call me Mr. McNulty.
Very sweet.
Giancarlo McNulty.
Yes. Well, that was from the start of Act 2 of The Medium by Menotti, the duet, if you can call it that, between Monica and Toby. It's not quite a duet because Toby, of course, is a mute, deaf mute, but Monica sings that particular passage. Beverly Dame on that recording. Frank, shall I be blamed if God has made me gay?
Is it?
Let us hear it done properly, shall we, just for a moment.
Shall I be blamed if God has made me gay? Does it pay?
Much imitated, but a fine, super voice, wasn't it, John?
Yeah, he's
the voice of Tauber. He gets you a mark. According to our very own tradition in this show, the last round features our contestants in slightly different capacity and a different order. They sing. Dennis first. Dennis, all the songs are decidedly foreign in origin. I speak from the English end, as it were. Yours is an American song. And I quote, the hurdy-gurdies, the birdies, the cop on the beat, the candy maker, the baker, the man in the street. What are they all singing?
From the Middle Eight.
Oh, yes, if I can find
Listen, I'm not waiting for you because you put me off, mate. You make your own arrangement. Listen, listen, there's a lot you're liable to be missing. Sing it? Yes. Don't fumble about there, Steve. What makes a lady of 80 go out on the loose? What makes a gander meander in search of a goose? What puts the kick in a chicken, the magic in June? It's just... You know, they say that in order to be a great singer, one has to suffer. I think you've suffered enough.
I think I'm going to give up accompanying altogether. Certainly I will for yours, John, because this will sound lovely, I think, unaccompanied, if you can manage it. Tom Moore, the Irish poet, wrote in 1813 about summer's final rose. Can you oblige, please?
'Tis the last rose of summer left blooming all alone. All her lovely companions are faded and gone. No flower of her kindred, no rosebud is nigh to reflect back her blushes or give sigh for sigh.
Frank, back to America for your song, in which the singer inquires of his girl whether her mother is aware that she's out and about to be stolen.
This?
Yes.
Which version do you want? Want the early one?
Well, the answer to that is always the clean one, if you're on the BBC.
Well, not the vulgarised.
Round about there.
Does your mother... Your mouth.
I'm sorry, I've done you a mischief. Would you like to try?
No,
try one of your own?
I would do if I continued at that key.
Same
what
key
speed?
as I gave.
What tempo?
I don't mind, just get on with it.
Does your mother know you're out, Cecilia? Does she know that I'm about to steal ya? Oh my, when I look in your eyes, I can tell you
You and I must get together. How about a little kiss? Cecilia, just a kiss. Count on this. Cecilia. Oh, if I'm wasting time. Oh, Cecilia, won't you say your name?
What was that line about wasting time?
The tempo was irresistibly like the way the band plays when the jugglers do that trick with 3 cigar boxes.
It's absolutely true. And any musical director will corroborate that, then. It's absolutely true. He's trying to follow the unnatural beat. Ian, the song...
Thank you.
I thought you followed me very well.
Yes,
because your song is going to be serious and also going to be magnificent, Ian, in French, as Cole Porter was the first to point out, and I'll play you a long introduction while we all get our breath back. Right.
You just like...
When love comes in and takes you for a spin, oh la la la, c'est magnifique. When every night your loved one holds you tight, oh la la la, c'est magnifique. But when one day your loved one drifts away, oh la la la, it is so tragique. But when once more she whispers, je t'adore, c'est magnifique.
Magnifique indeed. Malheureusement, we have no more time. It's not a victory for anybody this week, it's a tie. Goodbye.
Taking part in My Music were John Amos, Frank Muir, Ian Wallace and Denis Norden. The chairman was Steve Race. The questions were compiled by Steve Race and the programme was produced by Tony Schreier. We present My Music, a musical panel game devised by Edward J. Mason and Tony Schreier. And here to introduce the teams is Steve Race.
Thank you. And reporting for duty, another edition of My Music, with the cast unchanged: Ian Wallace, Denis Norden, John Amos, Frank Muir. And a little musical identification to start with. Ian Wallace, here's one of those infuriating overtures. Only infuriating because one can't remember what it's called. Or I don't know, perhaps you can. Yes, it's very
It's one of those overtures that you would find on an LP that would be marked Special bargain, 99p.
Yes, it is, absolutely, yes. True.
Housewife's choice favourite.
Yes, and I have been watching the audience while that was being played, while I was getting suitably infuriated because Steve's absolutely right. And there were several people were whispering at one another and nodding and looking so smug. And you have every right to look smug because I haven't a clue.
Well, in an effort to remind myself once and for all of what it was called, I wrote myself words to the tune. I remember Donna Diana sat at the piano and played the Grieg piano concerto. The way she would give it was utterly riveting. Only she could manage the fingering fast or slow or lovely and lingering. And so it went on, like, something out of Facade.
Oh, yes.
So it is in the
Donna Diana
Overture, yes, by, for just half a mark.
Give me another rhyme, including the name of the country.
There is no rhyme for Reznicek. I can't give you a mark, Ian, can I? But it will do you no harm.
Well, give yourself a mark.
Yes, I'll give me a mark. Right. And we move on to Denis Norden and ask you, Denis, a simple question for 1 mark. Whose music is this?
Well, would I be right in saying that it was on both sides of a 12-inch record
you
when
would
it
be
came
right.
out?
Yes, you would be right. That's right.
And it's Clarinet Concerto, or Concerto for Clarinet, I think it's called, by Artie Shaw, who I didn't envy his clarinet playing at that time. But the fact he married both Ava Gardner and Lana Turner.
Yes.
The two girls who were responsible for my pimples at that time. Yeah.
And then to make sure of the money, he married the authoress of Forever Amber.
Catherine Winsor.
Well, I shouldn't say that, of course, but he did marry rather an alarming number of times. Fantastically good clarinet playing, absolutely commanding and marvellous. I think they're from Artie Shaw.
His tone was sort of like Harry James was on the trumpet.
Very much so, yes.
Tremendously attacking.
I could never understand people who didn't know the difference between Artie Shaw and Benny Goodman, all the difference in the world, I always thought. I had a letter from a listener, rather a nice letter from a listener, about an army sergeant, he remembered, they used to call him Artie Shaw, because he used to shout on the parade ground, "Squad, Artie Shaw!"
How do these listeners always write to you knowing what questions you're going to ask?
No, sir. I write questions round their postcards and their letters. I'm very happy to go on doing so.
He's actually been keeping that letter since 1968.
1939, actually. John, here's an arresting opening for you. John, when I suggested that music to our producer, he said, it's I can't go on music. And it is, isn't it? I can't go on.
It's one of the 4 bagatelles for muted string quartet by von Webern.
Or
The Cornfields of Rome by Respighi.
Yes. What's the title, please?
Feste Romane.
Yes. Did you recognise the version?
Toscanini.
Yes. Nobody ever made it sound quite like that.
No. You know that Toscanini, when he did modern works, was inclined to choose rather lush and sometimes rather empty pieces, and sometimes he was known as Toscanini.
Toscanini would be better.
Yes, it would. Thanks for the improvement, yes.
Music by Respighi gets you a mark. Frank, again, the start of something big.
Yes, it's Authors in Their Underwear. But,
nearly, yes.
It's by the French equivalent of that late 19th century English composer, Selden Bate.
Yes.
Often bark.
Worse than his bite. Yes, very well said. Yes. I'm grateful to you. You got a mark. And on to the next round, and Broadway musicals, the subject of this round. Ian, that great showman Mike Todd went to see a tryout performance of a certain musical before it reached Broadway. On coming out of the theatre in the sticks, wherever it was, he sent off a famous telegram. Can you remember what the telegram said, and can you name the show?
Mike Todd.
Mike Todd, yes. I don't know if Dennis can help you, your partner.
No.
I'll tell you the telegram, Ian, and then see if you can tell me the show. The telegram he sent off to New York after coming out of this out-of-town tryout was, no gags, no gals, no chance. The show was...
The first musical of that type would have been Oklahoma.
It was Oklahoma for a mark, yes. Good for you, Dennis. Oklahoma he saw, and he sent the cable off, no gags, no gals, no chance, and he was proved wrong. But Dennis has got a mark for his side. Dennis, it's your turn now. George Gershwin once called Hyman Arlock the greatest original of us all. Can you give an example of Hyman Arlock's originality?
I take it that Hyman Arlock changed his name.
Yes.
To
I'm in the mood for love.
Yes. Well, we're simply going on the initials.
Yes. That'll do.
Harold, I believe you know Alec Wilder wrote a very good book on American popular song, and he used to say that Harold Arlen, he thought, was better than Gershwin in that book anyway. What example of Harold Arlen's...
Yes, Harold, let's get it quite straight. Hyman Arlock became Harold Arlen, and an example of his work would be...
Would be Lydia, oh Lydia, an encyclopedia is Lydia the tattooed lady.
Extraordinary song to choose.
Oh,
from the man who wrote Over the Rainbow, Blues
Stormy
in the Night.
Weather, yeah.
That old black magic, come rain or come shine. Yeah. Fair enough for your 2 marks. John, Irving Berlin once said of somebody, the difference between him and the rest of us lyric writers is that he's a poet. Who was he talking about?
Cole Porter? For a guess?
No, not the right guess, as it happens.
Johnny Mercer for a second chance?
No, I would accept Johnny Mercer as a poet any day. No, this particular chap wrote the line that people usually quote, the corn is as high as an elephant's eye, in Oklahoma. Oscar Hammerstein.
The 111th.
The 111th, or the second if you prefer. Can't give you the marks, so on we go to Frank. Frank, turning from Broadway to Hollywood, I'm sure you remember the waiter and the porter and the upstairs maid.
You want me to sing it?
No, on the contrary.
Upstairs maid.
Nothing could be further from my mind. No, I was going to ask you, who played those 3 respective parts in the film Birth of the Blues?
The maid was Mary Martin.
That's right.
And Bing Crosby was in there, as was Jack Teagarden.
Yes, you got them, all 3 for 2 marks. Very good. There are some tunes, songs, themes that it's quite easy to recognise without hearing the notes at all, just from the rhythms. I'm going to tap out a well-known tune from the start and see if you can identify it. Ian, your turn. This is from a symphony with a kind of dual nationality. Did you get the tune?
Yes, I think I did.
What was it? For a 2 marks.
Was it something like... Ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dee, ba-ba-bum, bum, ba-bum, ba-bum, ba-bum.
So the title?
The Italian Symphony.
By?
Mendelssohn.
Number 4 in A, yes. 2 marks to you. Good. Tapping rhythm again. Denis Norden, here's yours.
I would describe that as drum the impossible drum.
There was a slight fault on the dialing tone.
I must give you a slight hint, I think.
Sounds like one of those conjurous things where you have chattering false teeth.
Yes, that's right. Or in a joke shop. Yes.
Somebody trapped inside a piano.
Dennis, it was in fact a rhythmic version, if you can call it that, of a tune that might have been called Pizzicato Polka, but wasn't. And I suspect that Judy Garland may have been around when it was written. I'll play you one bar, right? Listen hard.
Oh, Holiday for Strings.
Yes. Yes, Holiday for Strings by... Why did I say Judy Garland might have been around when it was written?
I don't know.
She was married to David Rose, who composed Holiday for Strings, yeah. Or indeed, what I played you could have been, I suppose, any other tune in even quavers or even Alla Brave crotchets. Anyway, you got it. Holiday for Strings, and I gave you a clue, so 1 out of 2, I think. John, yours is from the piano repertoire. Any ideas? Well,
it's on the lid.
For 1 mark, I'll give you the first 3 notes, right? Yes, that's right.
It's the Passionata.
Yes. Number 23 in F minor, Opus 57 by...
Beethoven.
Beethoven, yes. 1 mark out of 2. Frank, for you, a film theme.
Da 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 dee.
Yes.
Da 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 da.
The title?
David Rose's Lime. Harry Lime theme.
Yes, the Harry Lime theme by Anton...
By a Viennese composer whose name escapes me. He played the zither.
That's right.
Throughout.
Yes, absolutely. The marks have been going to and fro, hither and yon, but at the moment it's a tie. So far. One of the good things about television is that it's turned us all into experts on films that were made before we were old enough to go and see films. So here are 4 really old-time movie actors or actresses from the days when you didn't just sing a song, you acted a song. Ian Wallace, your turn first, as usual. This young lady was continental in origin and to some extent in name as well. She recorded this in 1936.
What love can be, you know not yet. While enjoying, all forget what formerly has been. What do you know of passion's fire? Waste the strength of love's desire. And what true love does mean?
I did give you a rather startling clue in my question. Who was she, Ian?
We had a thought about Marlene Dietrich, but then Dennis pointed out that the R sound was not characteristic, so that we dismissed.
Very perceptive.
Very perceptive on his part. And it would be very impressive if we had another name to put in its place.
I'm still worried about that startling clue.
Yes, so am I. But he said something about a dual nationality.
Well, I know. I said continental in origin and to some extent in name as well. And I said that because her name was Pola Negri.
Yes.
Pola from Polish. Pola Negri.
Polar is North Pole, it's not continental.
P-O-L-A. Dennis, I don't honestly remember Pola Negri in films, but I do remember this next lady quite clearly, a good comedienne who went, in a sense, from the Tudor court to Hollywood.
I liked his smile, I liked his style. He said his daddy got a lot of cash, although I didn't care much for his wavy hair. I liked his little black mustache. I liked his eyes, his old school ties, and he made love just like a reel of hash. But what made me fall, yes sir, the most of all, I liked his little black mustache.
Well, it's difficult because she's singing, I like his little black mustache, and that doesn't sound like any English actress or who went to Hollywood, or possibly every English actress who went to Hollywood.
Yes. This one went from the private life of Henry VIII to Diana Durbin's Three Smart Girls.
Vinnie Barnes.
Vinnie Barnes, well worked out. 1 mark to you. John, who was this? You might call him Big Brother, I think.
Learn how to tap, 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 tap. Don't walk with your feet. Learn how to tap, 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 tap. Walk and talk and hit a little rhythm. Tap your tootsies and they'll never get cold. You'll never grow old if you...
Fell down at the end there, but a very worthy performance. Any ideas?
One of the Ebsen brothers.
No. No. Buddy Ebsen. No, he was a dancer too, of course. No, much nearer home than that. What we call home, anyway. Frank, you got the voice, didn't you? That was the other one.
The younger brother.
That was the other one, yes. Very good impression.
Oh, thank you.
Can you help
Lord Hulbert?
Yes, that's right. So that was
Jack on the side of my hand.
Yes, Jack Hulbert. Having been a little indulgent to Dennis, I must be indulgent to you. It was Jack Hulbert in a song called Tap Your Tootsies. Frank, for you, someone born in the 19th century, a noted cabinet member in 1919, who later recorded this ear-catching ditty.
Where the lighthouse shines across the bay, there's a cottage kissed by fume and spray. Cheerful logs to warm the winter day are blazing. Listening to the breakers on the shore, from a tiny cottage thatched with straw, stands a fair-haired lassie at the door, stargazing.
The Kojak of his day.
Yes, absolutely. More a Vincent Cut Price, wouldn't it? Conrad Veidt.
Yes, Conrad Veidt. That's right. Superbly villainous name. That's who it was, singing When the Lighthouse Shines Across the Bay. I love the mention to spume. You mentioned spume. It's always rather satisfactory when professional people have really apt names. In Happy Families, Mr. Bunn the baker, as you recall. Passing one of those strip clubs near Piccadilly Circus the other day, I emphasise passing, my eye was caught by a notice board advertising the lady who was the star of the show, and her name was Misty Mina.
Your eye was caught by her name?
Yes, that's right. I think it's got everything a name should have. But it set me wondering between us whether we could come up with a good name for a musician, a conductor, a singer, composer, instrumentalist, whoever he or she might be. So, Ian, while you're desperately thinking, and you're the one who's got to start, perhaps I could just be reminding the audience of the Welshman who went into a record shop and asked for an LP of the opera named after his fellow countryman, Die Fledermaus. So, having given you a moment, Ian, how are you getting on? A name for a musician, please.
Oh, dear. Well, I can only think of a gentleman called Tune Twang Pluck, who is a guitar player from Pekin.
Yes, that Twang is a nice middle name for him, isn't it? Very nice. Yes, 2 marks to you for that.
Twang Dynasty.
Twang Dynasty, says Dennis. Dennis, have you come up with something? You had a little longer.
Yeah, 3 ladies.
Oh.
One of which you've mentioned, Bertha D. Blues. Barbara Seville.
Oh, yes.
And Sonia Paper Moon.
That's a charming trio, yes. 2 marks between the 3 of them. John, a musician's name?
I think I should choose a real one. The pianist who used to work at the Aldeburgh Festival on Covent Garden, playing for singers and répétiteurs in general. His name is Robert Keys. Keys, the pianist.
Yeah. Keys, yes. Yeah. Frank, your turn. Musician's name, please.
Singer, great-great-great-granddaughter of Albrecht Dürer, the artist, died, if you remember, with Mahler in Venice. Her name is Cholera Dürer.
2 marks to you. Well, we're in the home stretch now. Geography being the strong point of our panellists, we have 4 place names in the final round. I say again, place names, gentlemen. Dennis, you first in this case. There's an old, I think justly forgotten, song called Himazaz, Himazas. Can you recall it for a couple of marks?
Well, I can vaguely recall it, so I apologise to the
purist, this time of lyrics as well as where music is concerned. I knew it as Imazaz, actually, but
Yes,
maybe Imazaz. It goes something like, I'm going back to Imazaz, never again to Rome. I'm going back to Imazaz. Imazaz is my home. I'm going back to Imazaz. Ain't gonna roam no more. I'm going back to Imazaz. Imazaz, the pub next door.
I don't think that song has received a round of applause for lo these 40 years. Good bit of memory, Dennis, yes. I'm going back to Imazaz, the pub next door. 2 marks to you. John, where were you bound on the 5th of August, and what was the weather like? You've got it?
Yes. It was on the 5th of August, the weather fine and fair, unto Brig Fair I did repair, for love I was inclined. I took hold of her lily white hand, oh, and merrily was her heart. Now that we two together are, I hope we never part. The green leaves they shall wither, and the branches they shall die. If ever I prove false to her, to the girl that loves me.
Ah, lovely. He has that gift Chaplin had of making you laugh one moment and cry the next. Yes, Brig Fair. And on to you, Frank. Frank, meet me at the Missouri Carnival for a curiously named dance. Can you do that?
Meet me at St. Louis. No, meet me at St. Louis.
Carry on, I'll find you. I'll find you in the end.
Just going through my bunch of keys.
How's that?
Meet me at St. Louis, Louis, meet me at the fair. Don't tell me the lights are shining anywhere but there. We will dance the moochy smoochy. You will be my scoochie woochy. If you meet me in St. Louis, Louis, meet me at the fair.
2 marks. And finally, on our geographical tour, we come to you, Ian. I quote, a happy noise to hear, referring perhaps to your singing, but also to the bells of a village northeast of Tewkesbury. Key of E flat and a 2-bar intro. Okay?
Splendid. Touch of the Graham Peels.
In summertime on Bredon, the bells they sound so clear. Round both the shires they ring them in steeples far and near. A happy noise to hear of a Sunday morning, my love and I would lie and see the colored counties and hear the larks on high about us in the sky.
Worth waiting for. And time to look at the final score, and I see that this week it's a victory by 1 mark for John Amos and Frank Muir. Goodbye.
Taking part in My Music were John Amos, Frank Muir, Ian Wallace and Denis Norden. The chairman was Steve Race. The questions were compiled by Steve Race and the program was produced by Tony Schreier. We present My Music, a musical panel game devised by Edward J. Mason and Tony Schreier. And here to introduce the teams is Steve Race.
Hello, we're back. The 5 voices of My Music with yet another edition featuring, nay, starring, Ian Wallace and Denis Norden in friendly competition with John Amos and Frank Muir. These opening pieces of music were all written for piano and orchestra. Ian Wallace, you first. What is this?
Last week when I was asked to identify a piece of music, I remember saying something about the audience all looking rather smug and whispering to one another. This week when that was played, they were all nodding in time to the tum-tum-tum-tum-tum, but nodding with a look of incomprehension, I was glad to see, which puts us rather in the... I would say this was... reasonably modern.
Yes, reasonably.
And I would stake my life on it being a piano concerto, but as you'd really already told us that.
Yes, yes. Who did it sound like? Because it wasn't by him.
That's like throwing a drowning man both ends of the rope.
Well, yes. Because I didn't even know who it sounded like.
Well, I'm going to have to tell you, I thought it sounded like Rachmaninoff, and it was not. It was the opening of Prokofiev's first piano concerto. Rather nice thing about it, it was written when he was a student. He'd entered a competition, but so that the adjudicators wouldn't recognize any wrong notes, instead of playing a familiar concerto, he wrote one of his own. And I'm told won the competition. Anyway, Piano Concerto No. 1, it's in D-flat by... Prokofiev. Can't give you any marks, but you'll pick them up later on.
And I suppose the judges in that competition all the way were saying, now, who wrote that? What does it sound like?
I'm sure they were. Denis, again, piano and orchestra, what is it, please?
I believe is a typical piece of what filmmakers believe all classical music sounds like. But it retains enough vestiges of sort of popular appeal. It's one of the Rhapsodies, and we think it's Cornish Rhapsody.
It's Cornish Rhapsody, yes, that's right. And the composer, do you know?
I know that.
Ian, do tell.
Hubert Bath.
Hubert Bath, yes. Music on Tap by Hubert Bath. Came from the film Love Story, and you got 2 marks for your side. John Amos, yet again, piano and orchestra.
C'est 2 fois français. Oui. C'est le compositeur français.
Oui.
Il est français. Yes, I français. Shall I go over that again?
No. What title would you give it?
I think I call it a concertino.
for piano and orchestra by
Jean Français. Actually, I believe the X is sounded.
Yes, as in the Z of Boulez.
As in, yes, X en Provence de l'estomac.
Or the T of Turandot, as you're always telling us.
Well, am I always telling you that?
Yeah.
Yes, the G is hard as in gristle. Yes. Composed in 1932, Jean Français' Concertino for piano and orchestra. 2 marks to you. Frank, I think you can do this without help from John. Try anyway. What is it? Steiner called that the one that got away.
Yeah. It's a bit of Floyd Gershwin.
Yes.
Did he have the same arranger?
Well, because a lot of the time it was Ferdy Grofé who worked for Paul Whiteman, but not always. He's said to have learned orchestration, Gershwin, in order to have orchestrated American in Paris on his own, isn't he, John? So they say.
Well, he got very waxy when people suggested. I think Grothe gave him some help with Rhapsody in Blue, but after that he said he scored them all himself.
So this being, Frank,
it's concerto.
Concerto in, give me a key.
A.
Well, no, it's in F, actually. It's
F. My friend is saying F.
It's the concerto in F. You get your marks, anyway.
I always like that story, you probably all know it, Oscar Levant said about Gershwin, who, when he got to parties, always monopolized the piano seat. And he said that an evening with George Gershwin was always a George Gershwin evening.
Here are some quotes, or as I would say in my old-fashioned way, some quotations from song titles. Just by way of an example, there's an old song called Drizzle, Drizzle, the party's a fizzle, but oh, what a night to love. Actually, the title of that song is Oh, What a Night to Love. The rest appears in brackets. So you get the idea. Ian, can you complete the song title that begins, A Woman is Only a Woman?
Right.
Dennis, can you help
Frank,
me?
Dennis obviously can.
A woman is only a woman.
Well, I don't know about the song title. It's Kipling. A woman is only a woman, but a good cigar is a smoke.
Yes, that's right. A woman is only a woman, but a good cigar is a smoke. A song, Victor Herbert, of all people, in a musical in 1905. Yes,
Well,
so 2 marks to your side.
Kipling.
Dennis, again, to complete the song title, I used to love her in the moonlight.
But now I've learnt how to mend a fuse. When in doubt, always say, but it's all over now.
I'll give you 1 out of 2.
It's Love in the Moonlight Blues.
Well, you're not far off. I'll give you 1 out of 2. I used to love her in the moonlight, but she's in the limelight now. That's the title. A song by somebody whose name will take you back, Ted Fiorito.
Ted Fiorito, yes. Used to be a big radio orchestra.
Band leader and films too, yes. John, who takes care of the caretaker's daughter? Frank, help him.
When the caretaker's daughter's taking care.
When the caretaker's busy taking care. Who takes care of the caretaker's daughter when the caretaker's busy taking care? A song by Chickendor. It's another name from the past, isn't it?
Yeah.
You get 2 for your side. And Frank, it's your turn to finish the song title. Why build a wall round a graveyard?
When nobody's trying to get out.
Actually, it's when nobody wants to go in. So 1 out of 2. It was written by the 2 Leslies, and they'll take you back a bit too, Leslie Saroni and Leslie Holmes.
You were saying about what the caretaker's daughter, when the caretaker... Yeah. I was sitting in a restaurant of a hotel in Scotland some while ago, and the public address system came on, and a voice said, "Attention, please. Will the receptionist please come to reception?
On with the show, over to the piano, and time for the piano medley. So, pens, ink and paper, right? 6 tunes each, 3 marks altogether available, and they work in pairs here. So, Ian and Denis, your medley. There they are, 6 tunes. And how have you got on? You're still writing. The first one, I don't know if either of you got. Ian, you might have got the first one. No, nothing at all. John, did you spot the first one?
Yes, it's the Sprite of Ring.
Yes. The Sprite of Ring comes from the Rite of Spring, the Sacre du Printemps, the Adoration of the Earth. Yes, that... And then the next tune...
you slid into that very cleverly.
Well, very kind. Thank you very much.
Good switch, that.
And it was...
Yes, and I noticed that
Little Man,
Denis and I, it obviously takes the same amount of time to write while that tune's on, because we've both written, I see, Little Man You've Had.
No time for more, because you then wrote down...
Nothing.
Denis, no?
No. Was it Nights of Gladness?
Gladness, you got it. Yes, very good. Nights of Gladness. And then we wrote, then came...
It's S something, right?
Yes. Ian, you can go from there. No, not S3.
Not Espan,
no. No, not S or S.
I don't know.
Estudiantina. Very good, Denis.
Oh, yes.
You're a dark horse.
No, that's well known, but if you've ever worked in Variety, that's...
you know that.
A well-known piece of music.
Yeah, Juggler's Music, yes, by Val Teufel. And then came 2 more, please.
Kiss Me Again.
Kiss Me Again by Victor Herbert. And the final song...
Let's all sing like the birdies
sing. Tweet, 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 tweet. 5 out of 6, 2.5 marks out of 3. 2.5. Right. And over to the other side, pens at the ready, and a medley for John and Frank. It's March time. The first one, I think, could only be down to John.
The speed you have to write. I need a retread on my first 2 fingers.
First one is the opening notes of Der Rosenkavalier by Richard Strauss.
That's right, yes. And then...
Hold your hand out.
You naughty boy, yes. Good. You're doing very well. How do you get the third one?
Come dancing.
Well, no, it was not that.
Well, that's what I got down.
No. Much more of a march than that. John, did you get it?
No.
No, it's the Marching Strings. And then the next tune...
B. Lilly's lovely song, Give Me a Man.
Give me some men.
I thought it was from the Desert Poem.
Yeah. No, not quite.
Give me some men who are stout... And you think, give me some men who are stout-hearted men.
Yes, that's right. Yes, with a nudge and a wink. Yes, Stout-Hearted Men is the title, from The New Moon. You got that. 2 more. Thank you. And the last one.
All God pals and
Johnny Good Company. You got 5 out of 6. You too have got 2.5 out of 3. Halfway through the show, or approximately, and leading at the moment by 2 marks, John Amos and Frank Muir. John and Frank in the lead. Following my medley, representing the dust cart, we have the equivalent of the Lord Mayor's show. In other words, we have some opera. A very stern opera, too, as this extract for Ian will testify. Ian, which character is that?
Well, I think that's the chap who's playing the title role, in fact, in this splendid Russian opera.
Yes. Yep.
It's old Godunov himself.
Boris Godunov, yes, in Mussorgsky's opera of the same name. 2 marks to you. The singer there, beautiful voice, I thought, Joseph Orulo. Denis, in a summary of the plot of Boris Godunov, I read that, and I quote, "The courtyard of the Kremlin in Moscow is packed with people on their knees. This, when you come to visualize it, I always think must be rather extraordinary. Can you give us, for 2 marks, a really convincing reason why thousands of people in the Kremlin courtyard should have been on their knees at that particular moment?"
Well, it was an attempt to curry favour with the Americans by giving a mass impersonation of Al Jolson.
I'd love to give you 3 out of 2 for that, but I think 2 out of 2 is the best we can manage. Lovely answers. They were in fact waiting for the new Tsar, but as always, I prefer your answer to theirs. John, the same crowd that Denis has just been telling us about sound, when they sing, very happy indeed. As you can hear, John, the people sound deliriously happy. So why is the Tsar so sad, plot-wise?
Well, perhaps he's thinking about how the dire way that he got there.
Ah. Tell us more.
Well, he sort of knocked off a few people in order to get there, like kind hearts and coronets, you know?
Yes, that's right. He was responsible for the assassination of Tsar Fyodor's half-brother and legitimate heir. It's conscience, isn't it? He's being crowned himself, and his conscience is hurting him somewhat cruel. Right.
He knew out about Nout.
Frank, here's a little more from Boris Godunov. There's a rumour going around the audience that I'm going to ask you how he came to be called Godunov, but I'm not. I'm going to ask you just a straightforward question of scholarship, really. Who wrote the original play on which that opera was based?
This will stagger you, but I've seen this opera performed. My wife and I saw it performed in Moscow at the Bolshoi or New Theatre, and it was terrible. And we almost wish that Eugene had been on again. It was the trouble was that it was a January, and it was the 4th company, and all the effects were formidable. There were real flames when Moscow went up in, or appeared to be real flames, and white horses galloped all over the place. But the singers, they sang beautifully, but rather like a torch when the battery's gone, where the torch lights up, but the light doesn't actually get anywhere. So they're all singing very loudly, but the voices didn't come over the footlights. Pushkin.
Thank you. Yes, that's right. Yeah. Pushkin is right for 2 marks. He wrote it under the crisp title translated as The Comedy of the Distress of the Muscovite State of Tsar Boris and Grishka Rotopiev. It was in 1826, a snappy title. Gentlemen, a lot of songs are called the something song. Here are 4 of them, constituting our final round for this week. Dennis, can you start us off with the something rather song?
Out of tune song.
Yes, that'll do, yes. Made famous by Rudy Vallée between the wars, though it was actually written in 1910. I can start you off with a rhythm, if you like.
Take a
Is this, yes, Maine comes into this.
Yes, it does, that's right, yes.
Right. Start with, but not too fast, Steve. I don't want it fast.
No.
I don't want it slow.
No, just
I want it like icing, which is half fast. Right?
There's a note for you.
Fill a stein to good old Maine, shout till the rafters ring. Stand and drink a toast again. Let every Maine man sing. Drink until the rafters blaze. Drink to the happy days. Drink to Maine, alma mater, the college of our heart always. A Polish one. I saw Shirley Bassey do that, get the order, and I thought, I'll do that next time.
The Stein song, yes. 2 marks, jolly good. John, again, for you, it's the something song. The one with which Walter von Stutzing won the Eurovision Song Contest.
Uh-huh.
I'll give you a chord in, I think, B. Try this.
Morgenlicht leuchten in rosigem Schein, von Blüt und Duft geschwellt die Luft, von aller Wonnen ihr Sonnen, ein Garten lud mich ein, zu schauen in einer Wunderbahn, von Früchten reich behangen, zu schauen in siegen Liebestraum, war höchsten Maß verlangen, wer fühlt ihn verhieß, das schönste Weib. Im Paradies.
I think you ought to get a prize for that.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, dear. No friends of mine in the audience. Frank, cobblers have, I repeat, cobblers have a special song of their own. Can you cast your mind back to Chu Chin Chow in F minor?
I can I can manage F minor.
I cobble all night with needle and thread until I wish that I was dead. Cobble all night as best I may. Cobble all day. And I sing to myself this soulful lay. Give me the old soft shoe, I said the old soft shoe.
I don't know how the last one got in. The cobbler's song, 2 marks to you. And on to Ian. Ian, I shall accompany you with cat-like tread as you render the song of the Cornish Coppers. May I give you an introduction?
Yeah, but before you do, if we're going to do that, I would really like some very considerable help, ladies and gentlemen, because this song is supposed to be with male chorus, you reply with the end of each sentence that the character sings. So if there are any members of the force here tonight, male or female, or even members of local Gilbert and Sullivan societies, do join in, to say nothing of my friends here on the platform.
Right, here we go.
When a felon's not engaged in his employment, or mature in his felonious little plans, his capacity for innocent enjoyment is just as great as any honest man's. Our feelings we with difficulty smother when constabulary duties to be done. Take one consideration with another. A policeman's lot is not a happy one. When constabulary duties to be done. A policeman's lot is not a happy one.
Well, never mind a policeman's lot, that's your lot. It's the end of this edition of My Music. It proves to be a victory by rather a large margin for John Amis and Frank Muir. Good night.
Taking part in My Music were John Amis, Frank Muir, Ian Wallace and Denis Norden. The chairman was Steve Race. The questions were compiled by Steve Race, and the programme was produced by Tony Schreier. We present My Music, a musical panel game devised by Edward J. Mason and Tony Schreier. And here to introduce the teams is Steve Race.
Well, once again, My Music takes the air with its usual cast: Ian Wallace, Denis Norden, John Amis and Frank Muir. Ian Wallace, we begin, as usual, with you. What is this, please, and who composed it? Fine, resounding string music. Ian.
String music,
yes. Sort of music you would play under a lady's window in Russia.
I was going to say from fairly far east.
Sort of, yeah, northeast.
Out of a window, which means a serenade.
Yes, that's right.
Serenade for strings.
Yes, in an easy key, if you had any sense, too.
Well, I wasn't worried because I'm not a string player, but I have a feeling the chap who wrote it was called Tchaikovsky.
Ah, that's right, yes.
Peter Ilyich.
Yes, how very well you worked your way towards that, didn't you?
Didn't I?
The
yes.
Serenade for Strings in C major, opus 48, the first movement by Tchaikovsky. 2 marks for Ian Wallace, that gets us started. Denis, the subject, you'll gather, is Tchaikovsky. Which familiar fairy tale does this music commemorate? fairy tale.
Yes, I know. I work kind of backwards on this thing because I first of all think through all the fairy tales I can think up while the music's playing. There's no hope of recognising the music as such.
Pay no attention, Dennis. You just carry on.
There's a fairly subtle hint there from Ian. Cinderella. No. The Sleeping Beauty.
Yes.
Hardly appropriate.
Yeah, you get 2 marks, Dennis. It was indeed the Sleeping Beauty, and in case anybody felt cheated out of the tune, the main tune, this is how it goes on. So on. Lovely. John Amos, thinking about the romantic strain in Tchaikovsky's music, can you tell me what this comes from? It's not one of his best-known pieces, but I think it's very Tchaikovskyan. The fingerprint is there, isn't it?
He trieth to catch me out, this race.
Yes.
He trieth.
He trieth, yes.
It's not Tchaikovsky at all, is it?
Tell me, just put my mind at rest. It does sound rather Tchaikovsky-ish, doesn't it?
Very.
What is it, in fact?
I think it's Mahler.
No, it's not. Oh, dear, I'm sure you'd rumbled me over this. No, it's not Mahler.
Well, then if it's not Mahler, it's one of those things in D major like Beethoven's Ninth.
That's right, yes. Oh, you were having me on that time, weren't you? Yes.
You'll never know, Steve.
I'll never know. But you took a terrible chance there, didn't you? Yes.
You have to pay to look at the cards.
It's from the 3rd movement of Beethoven's choral 9th Symphony. Did you know, John? Yes, I
said you'll never know, Steve.
But you'd like to know if you're going to get 2 marks, wouldn't you? Yeah. All right, 2 marks to John.
You get more sympathy if you lose, anyway.
Yes. Frank, over to you. What has this music... in common with this, Frank? Yes, sir.
Well,
try. Second one.
Yeah. Well, the first one was Prokofiev.
Yes.
Romeo and Juliet.
Ah. Yes.
And the second one wasn't. But that is to say, it wasn't Prokofiev.
Ah, but
it was a composer of a dissimilar name. Who I didn't catch it actually, but
Tchaikovsky.
Oh, Tchaikovsky.
Yes, but I didn't ask what
Tchaik like that.
I didn't ask what was different about them. I asked what they had in common.
Well, they had in common they're both Romeo and Juliet.
Yes, they're more particularly even. They're how about you, sir?
Ah, yes. Well, they're the fisticuffs and the swordcuffs.
That's right. Yes.
And various fulminations between the warring clans.
Some you'll know at me, sir. Yes, the Montagues and Capulets were the ones I had in mind there. Yes.
The merchant bankers and the...
Moving on, people often ask composers in the lighter field, which comes first? They say the music or the title. And it can be either. Even when the title seems right, you can never be quite sure that someone else won't come up with a better title one day. So here are 4 snatches of music for which I'd like an appropriate title, please. And before you ask me which one I composed, the answer is I composed all of them. Ian, what would you have called this? Dennis is showing you something.
Yes, he's showing me something. The word is plagiarism.
Oh, thank you, Dennis.
Well,
thank you.
Sort of offhand.
Yes.
The only thing I can think of is Where My Gondola Has Grounded.
Oh, very nice, yes. I knew I would prefer your title, and I do. I wrote it originally for a television play which was called Faraway Music, and that was the title it had. Later on it became a song and so on, and it then became So-and-So Spaghetti on television. That's another story, and a rather well-paid one.
A very, very nice theme. Steve.
Thank you. Dennis, what do you think I might have called this?
Too.
Good. This time Ian's writing.
Yes.
Plagiarism again.
Yes. He's got
son of plagiarism.
Let that kangaroo go.
That really is below the belt, actually. And I wouldn't like to say which came first. I think mine did, as a matter of fact, but I'm not sure.
Well, I was a vaguely kind of scampering sort of theme, and sort of late summerish sort of mood. I would call it Scamper Through the Leaves to a Tune of Steve's.
A crisp title, indeed. I called it The Pied Piper. And the great thrill for me was when it was adopted as a signature tune by my favourite football team, Queen's Park Rangers, who scamper out to that every other Saturday. John, what would be your title, I wonder, for this?
Paid by the bar.
Yes. John?
I think I might call that My Trouble and Strife.
Well, that Strife was all right, yes. Everybody's going to get a mark in this round. I called it Crime Wave.
I thought it was Frankenstein meets Thor Herd. I don't know why.
You've got the idea of it anyway. Frank, can you give this one a good title?
Yes, it's for countryside farmer roasted peanuts. Commercial tune for...
well, it could do. I called it Ice Pack.
What for?
I thought it was cold. That's what I thought.
No, it wasn't cold. No, it
wasn't cold.
Well, pastoral.
I think, Steve, the only time you've actually succeeded with your titles was when you wrote one for your daughter, which was just simply called Nicola.
Yes.
So I think what you should do in future is write all your themes to names of members of your family. So you call the next one Fred and the next one Albert and so on. And then you put them on an LP, which you call Race Relations.
But Dennis, if they didn't like them, they'd be Race Relations bored, wouldn't they? Miscellaneous music questions now. Ian, in your theatre-going life, you, like me, will have seen Siegfried. But I read recently in a newspaper review that Siegfried, and I quote, was rock steady in his pirouettes. What would Wagner have thought, I wonder? And can you explain, please? Siegfried rock steady in his pirouettes.
Yes.
Good.
That's obviously not Wagner's Siegfried, in fact.
No.
That comes back to our friend Tchaikovsky.
Yes, it does.
If he was rock steady on his pirouettes, provided somebody didn't give him a kick in the pas de deux, he would be all right in Swan Lake.
That's right, yes. The part of Prince Siegfried in Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake. 2 marks to you for that. Dennis, where would you find Ray and me?
Is this a catch? Is it R.E.?
Yes.
So R.E., you would find R.E. and me in the Royal and Electrical Mechanical Engineers, which are known as REME.
Now you know why I know why you interrupted me before I said M.I.
Yes. M.I., is it?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Well, you'd find that in Fa Sol La Ti Do.
Yeah, that's right, yes, with Do and Fa and the rest of them, the tonic sol fa scale, yes, 2 marks to you. I must tell you, when I mentioned some time ago that the keynote is always Do in tonic sol fa, I had a very lovely letter from a Mrs. Bloomfield in Chessington in Surrey. Not, she said, not to my friend Joan, who calls middle C Do, whatever the key may be. She's mastered the key of Re with its Fa sharp and Do sharp. But, says Mrs. Bloomfield, she was completely baffled when she discovered that her piano did not provide a Mi sharp. Splendid confusion, and I'm delighted to know about it. Anybody who understands tonic sol fa will enjoy that predicament. It's lovely. John Amos, your turn. How did Beverly Nichols describe George Gershwin's The Man I Love? Do you happen to know?
I don't know how, I don't know why.
Beverly Nichols said that George Gershwin's The Man I Love was not inferior to the organ music of César Franck.
That's jolly patronising of him.
Isn't it? Yes. One way and another. Frank, with a little help perhaps from John, I read a music review in one of the London dailies which ended with the words, "The 4 naked virgins were outstanding." And I wish I'd been there. Can you identify the opera, please? The 4 naked virgins.
Rigoletto.
Yes. I think, John, you might know the 4 naked virgins appear in...
I don't know if that's something I trust.
No, I didn't go to it, no, but I've read the book.
Oh. Illustrate.
Moses
yes.
and Aaron.
Yes, Schoenberg's Moses and Aaron.
And there was a song in it which was very, very popular, wasn't there? If Moses supposes his roses are toesies, then Schoenberg supposes erroneously.
You would have been surprised. To launch our next round, I'm going to invite you, Ian, to tell us first who the singer is and who the composer.
Das Wandern ist des Müllers Lust, das Wandern. Das Wandern ist des Müllers Lust, das Wandern. Das muss ein schlechter Müller sein, dem niemals fiel das Wandern ein. Das Wandern, das Wandern, das Wandern, das Wandern.
Ian.
Composer Schubert?
Thank you.
I'd hazard a guess that the accompanist was Gerald Moore.
I didn't ask, but it is.
What was the make of the piano?
Most likely a Steinway.
Thank you.
In tune.
I did it Steinway.
And
the
singer was without a shadow of doubt Dietrich Fischer-Dieskau.
Yes, 1 + 1 marks equals 2 marks. Right.
You know, the name Fischer-Dieskau, before I received a musical education on this program, I would have said that Fischer-Dieskau was a discotheque in Grimsby.
I like
it. But it keeps coming up, and I keep making mental... I must listen to that chap sometime.
Well, you're going to hear him again, Dennis. Here is another song from the same song cycle.
So schnell, so kraus, so wild, mein lieber Bach, ein Zufallshort, dem frechen Bruder Jäger nach. Kehr und schielt erst eine Müllerin für ihren leichten, losen, kleinen Flattersinn. Kehr um.
Dennis, the singing, as you may have noticed, was in German. But I see that a thoughtful record company has added translations into English. That song, for instance, reads, "Whither so fast, so ragged and wild, my dear brook? Are you hurrying angrily after that shameless brother huntsman? Turn around, and first scold your mill girl for her light, wanton, petty fickleness." What would you call that, Dennis?
Rubbish.
I actually meant, what would you call the song?
I would call it, if they asked me, I could write a brook. I don't know. I haven't the faintest idea. I couldn't make any sense of the English, let alone the German.
Well, I would like to give you 1 out of 2. Schubert, and I suppose strictly speaking, the poet Müller, called it jealousy and pride. Well, that translated, but 1 mark for you out of 2. John, a song for you in more cantabile style.
Weise stehen auf die Straßen, weisen auf die Städte zu. Und ich wandere sondermaßen ohne Ruh und suche Ruh. Und ich wandere sondermaßen ohne Ruh und suche Ruh.
Question, John. What begins with good night, goes on with looking backward, continues beyond the last hope, and almost ends with courage?
This program.
Well, presumably the title of that song.
Well, think of the titles of the 4 songs. Gute Nacht.
Think of the title of the...
Good night, looking backward, last hope, courage. It's a group of...
Nighty poems.
Well, rather colder sort of poems, I would have thought.
Death?
No. Cold season.
Winter?
Thank you. Any idea? Song cycle?
Oh, another Schubert.
Yes, but which...
Die Winterreise.
Ah, yes. 1 out of 2, I think, would be generous, wouldn't it, there? Yes, the song cycle, the Winterreise, 24 songs from which those 4 come.
I was trying to make you one of the Schöne Miller, and it wouldn't go.
No, it wouldn't. No, it changed. I'd changed song cycle by then. Frank, another Schubert song cycle, the last he ever wrote, includes a certain verse of 8 lines. I'm going to play you the German version of the song, and then read a translation of the first 4 lines, leaving you, please, to provide a translation, according to your own thoughts, of the second 4. Here it is.
Ich hab eine Brieftaube in meinem Sold, die ist gar ergeben und treu. Sie nimmt mir nie das Ziel zu kurz und fliegt auch nie vorbei.
And so on. Now, the translation at the start is, I have a carrier pigeon in my wallet. It is very devoted and faithful. It never falls short of its goal, nor flies past it. The rest is up to you, Frank.
I had a little carrier pigeon in my wallet.
That's right. Very devoted.
Very devoted. Go, little carrier pigeon. Go towards my friend and give her a message of comfort from me, but don't fly overhead.
That would do nicely. Yes, do nicely. Actually, the song goes on. Thousands of times a day I send it off with messages past many dear places until it reaches my sweetheart's house. But we'll skip all that. To follow Fischer Dieskau, as it happens, we have Denis Norden. This being the final round, which features our 2 tenors and our 2 baritones. Dennis, John, Frank and Ian.
What am I?
Would you mind?
You're what's left from me. Take the others away. All the songs this week...
I'm a kind of pheno-baritone. Drug on the mark.
Yeah. All the songs this week have something to do with happiness in one way or another. Dennis, you first. I won't ask you to sing the role of the clown in Pagliacci, but can you give the same smile through your tears sentiment from a Tin Pan Alley clown song? Can you think of one? Just a line.
Yes. I don't know. Broken-hearted clown, no use pretending on you they're depending. Carry on with the show. Yes. Smile. I'll talk it. Yeah. I'll do it. Smile as you did in days gone by.
It's more affecting.
Yes. Laugh. Yeah. Laugh though we know
Inside you cry, broken-hearted clown, the show is ending. The curtain is down, broken-hearted clown. By God.
Dennis, you had them in the palm of your hand.
I know.
You really did.
I tell you, it doesn't make much sense, but it's more sense than a dead pigeon in a wallet.
Where are we? Oh, yes, John. Someone pointed out that a Boy Scout who should smile and whistle at all times would have difficulty in doing both of them at the same time. One either whistles or smiles. Could you whistle a familiar air from Mendelssohn's Midsummer Night's Dream music?
An air, yes, well.
Ooh. Very good.
Only teeth go anywhere.
What I like really is the end, though.
We'll just get you whistling again sometime. That's very nice. Frank, continuing with our happy songs, can you celebrate in song the fact that today you're able to have a door key?
I'm 21 today, 21 today. I've got the key of the door, never been 21 before. Now the glass is up on high and shout hip hip hooray. I won't be home till the morning, I'm 21 today. Going back a bit.
Yes. Ian, finally from you, a sunny smile. Can you do that? A sunny smile in D? That one.
Right. Undo me tie for this, I think. You wouldn't like me to whistle it, no.
Dear face that holds so sweet a smile for me, were you not mine, how dark the world would be. No light above I know could e'er replace love's radiant sunshine in your dear, dear face. Give me your smile, the love light in your eyes. Life could not hold a fairer paradise. Give me the right to love you all the while. My world forever, the sunshine of your smile.
That F sharp was a bit alarming, wasn't it?
Yes, I took a big risk there.
Oh, yes. A permanent injury can be expected any moment. Anyway, with that sunny song, my music goes behind a cloud for a week until the next edition. This week, I see from the scoreboard, it's been a victory by 2 marks for Ian Wallace and Denis Norden. Goodbye.
Taking part in My Music were John Amos, Frank Muir, Ian Wallace and Denis Norden. The chairman was Steve Race. The questions were compiled by Steve Race and the program was produced by Tony Schreier.